Now that we're situated, let's move this out of the way just for a second. I'll double click again on my motion editor, and let's take a look at this first tween that we have on the basketball. I'm going to move my playhead back to the very beginning, and I'm just going to click on the ball itself so I can see properties for that basketball movie clip over here on the side, and I'm going to open up the position and size ones. Now you can see that the X value for the ball is 275. I think that's right in the middle of the stage. And the Y value is about 58, a little bit more than 58. That's measured from the top of the screen. We can see that as my animation progresses forward, the ball does not move anywhere in the X direction. I'll click on it again down here at the bottom and you can see it's still at 275. But the Y value has increased to 260 something. Now let's take a look at what our motion editor is telling us. We'll double click and bring it back up, and we can see there's our Y value change. If I move my cursor back to the beginning of the animation, you can see we start at 58, and we can watch the value move up as we go forward. So the black line just indicates the connection between those 2 points set up by our keyframes. Now you can see that the animation has a blue dotted line on it as well. That actually represents the easing that we added on top of it. In fact, we can turn the easing on and off in the ease column here with these checkboxes. If I just remove the easing, we end up with a straight line motion. And let me pull my motion editor back. You can see that we have evenly spaced points again, so no speed changes. We'll bring the motion editor back up, and I'll just re-add my easing back in with a check in the checkbox. So as you can see, we can control the easing right here in the panel. We can also use this panel to change the values that are setting up our animations. Let me see if I can set my screen up so we can see the stage and the motion editor at the same time. I'm going to double click in the timeline up here to collapse that, and that'll make some more space for our stage. And I'll move my motion editor down just a little bit and maybe my stage up so that we can kind of see what's going on here in the background. Now we've already got settings on our Y property. Let's use the motion editor panel to change the X property. I'll just click on the X value and that'll expand that graph up a little bit bigger and squish the other ones down. Now you can see the keyframes right here. We've got one at the beginning and one at the end. And actually I can grab those keyframes and edit them right here in the timeline. If I push it up a little bit, you can see that the ball is moving at the very beginning of the animation towards the right side of the stage because the X value is getting bigger. And if I pull it down a little bit, you can see that the ball will be pulled towards the left. It'll scroll if you pull down more, so we can make changes to the settings that are even bigger than what we can see. Now let's try it up here on the stage. If I just grab a hold of the basketball and click and push it left, I don't really see any live changes, but when I drop it at a new location, you can see that my graph updates so that it's actually showing the new X value that we created by dragging. Now you notice also down here in the panel, it does track the value for X and Y at the current position for our object, but it's grayed out at this point. We can enable that feature just by going up to our easing and turning it off temporarily. Now I'm going to go up here to the basic motion category, that's X, Y, and rotation, and I'll turn off easing for all three, and you can see that that actually activates the controls. I can grab a hold of this control and pull a little bit left, and you can see that that's going to move my ball both in the stage and the data point on my graph. And what I'd like to do is just have the ball completely off the stage. I'm going to pull it all the way left here till it's a little bit of a negative coordinate. And we can see up on our stage that the ball is right off the left-hand side.